What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer here with Delivering Sports. Had to take 1 week off. I'm just busy with work right now, and I kind of have that flexibility again, which is nice for me as I navigate the business world, whatever you want to call it.
We're doing a gorilla now.
Yeah, we're a little bit more laid back here, but we don't want to go over today's games. Not that we it's awful. Who cares about today's games? But we don't know. We don't want to project what's going to happen today and tomorrow, and then be like, oh, this is what's going to happen in the playoffs if that happens.
Just to have it be outdated,
And
because
then
the
we'll just
next
be
time we
wrong.
talk about it, it'll be like we can be like, oh, you want to talk about the play-in predictions we made 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. So since the regular season's technically over, what our plan is to do is we'll go over all the NBA awards, since that it probably was decided more than a week ago, but now that the regular season's officially over, we'll go over each of them, all NBA, Coach of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, the whole 9 yards, and we'll do that. And as soon as we know what the playoffs are going to be, then we'll go over our playoff predictions, because it's I think it's a week away. We have time before the NBA playoffs start. We'll just get right into it. We're not going to try to make this too long or anything crazy like that. We'll start with everyone's favorite and most debated, and that's going to be first team All NBA.
Do you think that's the most debated? I feel like MVP is probably the most contentious on a yearly basis.
Well, not this year, at least.
I don't know.
I definitely feel like this year it's pretty. You should see. It's I think it's 600 to 1 odds for Jokic this year for MVP. You have to $600.
I don't know. I like. I went against the grain with my pick. I know I did. So
interesting. Okay, well we'll start with first. We'll go over our NBA teams here, and I'll start with mine. This is first team All NBA for me. I have Westbrook, Stephen Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Julius Randle, and Nikola Jokic as my first team All NBA.
I think I have an identical first team.
Let's hear it.
I got Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Giannis, Julius Randle, and Nikola Jokic.
Oh, okay. So we literally just didn't. We agree completely. Okay.
The Julius Randle thing we should probably talk about.
Yeah, that's probably the most controversial, because a lot of people like Joel Embiid, and I'll tell you, this is the way,
man. I'm not. Joel Embiid is 7 feet tall.
I'm not putting him as
he's not a forward.
A forward center. No, he's not.
I'm sorry.
The thing is,
even if Giannis is 7 feet tall, Giannis moves like a forward, man.
Yeah,
so
he plays the forward position in the starting lineup. He's not starting as the center.
Yeah, and so here's the thing with Julius Randle, man. Any other year, it's going to be probably second or third team. This year, it lined up really well for him. LeBron got hurt. Anyone who could feasibly be over him has spent time being injured. And so I'm not going to say that that's the reason, but I think he's played to the level of a first team All NBA player this year. He has legitimately carried a team that was in the lottery last year. He has been the center focus. There's no debate about it. Julius Randle is at the center of that Knicks team, and he powered them to a home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. I don't really know how you can make a better argument for a guy to make his first team.
And the forward team and the forward position has been decimated by injuries this year. So
exactly, yeah.
It's okay. Oh, it's so crazy to put Julius Randle in your first team. It's who else is there really that deserves that spot over him? Again, because I'm not putting Joel Embiid as a forward. I just think that's ridiculous. And
there's no reason to do that. He doesn't play the forward.
Julius Randle is probably also going to win Most Improved, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But
there's really not a case you can make for anyone. We can just kind of get it out of the way right now. Most Improved. It's there's not really a player you can make a case for that has a better argument than Julius Randle.
For a while, it was Jeremy Grant. I have him in second place for me. He had a really.
But then
big
when you
season.
look at the where that actually got the Pistons that year, and I think Most Improved should be the team should improve a little bit along with you. The Pelicans did take a leap last year when Brandon Ingram won Most Improved. So I think it's only right to kind of give it to D'Lo won it the year before, I think, and that's when the Nets made the playoffs, and so. I think in keeping with that kind of, style of how they're, approaching the award, Randle is the one that makes the most sense.
The other name on this list, I think many people will find controversial, or at least from what I've seen everywhere, is Russell Westbrook being on the first team. He's going to be on everybody's, and he's going to be on one of these. I don't know what it's going to end up being, but Westbrook has been unreal this season.
How are you going to tell me he's not on the first team?
And before, let's say you're going into the last quarter of the season. They're really pretty far behind. They've had a lot of COVID issues this season too.
They've been decimated by COVID.
And at the end, the last quarter of the season, man, he has been on a tear, an unbelievable run that first of all, we'd never seen. The thing about Westbrook that everyone says is, oh, it's a different NBA. It's easier to get these kinds of stats. But okay, at the same time,
it's like, why are more people not doing it?
No one else is doing this. Nobody else in the entire landscape is getting close to this. I looked up statistically. Has anyone ever been close to a triple double, like one less plus or minus one off from rebounds or assists? Nope. The only person who's ever been close is Oscar Robinson. He was off by like 0.5 assists, 0.3 assists, and there was 1 year he was off by 0.1 rebounds.
Like for his like
to achieve a triple double season.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, no other player's doing it. So I think we have to really recognize what he's doing and appreciate it. And I think that deserves. Look, man, I get that there's other players, right?
Here's the thing. The best team or the best player is not going to win the award that they should every year. Like, that's just not how it works. That's just not how sports works. Someone's got to win every year, and it's not always going to be the singular guy or the singular team who had the best, body of work in a given season. And so, like, Russell Westbrook, it's to still be putting these championship expectations on him when he's not that kind of player it's asinine to me. It doesn't make sense. And to look at what he does, which is just a historical kind of just way to play basketball, something we haven't seen before, and to just like minimize it just because he's probably not going to win a championship ring in his career.
They were like the 12th seed in the East. He drove them to the 8th seed with like not that much time left in the season.
It's like, again, like, it's impressive. Like, Russell Westbrook represents something very like important in the NBA. It's just like the refusal to, like, Russell Westbrook is just embodying the refusal to just quit and to be what everyone thinks you are and stuff like that. And so he is still just being like, whatever, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it my way. And I mean, like, I think if he can't win a championship based on that, we should still reward someone for going that far.
Yeah,
you
we
know
need to
I mean?
recognize that kind of
you
effort.
have to.
It barely
it's
exists
like,
in the
that's
NBA
what I'm saying.
anymore.
It's like, if you don't encourage people to do crazy stuff like this, that's going to get people to watch the NBA. Like, what are we really even doing? Like, what is the point of doing these awards? And so I think that this is the perfect time to honor these awards. Are what we do to honor the people who can't win the championship every year.
I legitimately think these 5 have been the best 5 individual players of the season. So that's where I feel with that. We'll go on to second team All NBA here. I have Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, Paul George, Jimmy Butler, and Joel Embiid.
I'm going to be honest. I left Jimmy Butler completely off my All NBA teams.
I've done a little more investigative learning here. He's actually had an insane season given to all the circumstances they've been under. He's averaging like 22, 8, and 8. He's been amazing this year. He leads the league in steals. He's been great defensively for them, and he's brought them out of the mud too.
My second team is Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul, Paul George, Luka Doncic, and Joel Embiid.
So you put Luka as a forward?
Yes, I think Luka is a forward.
I think that's fine.
He's like 6. He came out as a forward. I think he played like they probably play him a lot at just like the actual point guard spot, but he's in a forward spot. I don't think that I don't think anyone's going to get too riled up about that.
That's okay. I mean, I have Luka on my third team. We'll talk about that. But, okay, I want to go into the debate of Damian Lillard versus Chris Paul because it's interesting, right? Because Damian Lillard had about a month span where it was like probably the worst month span of his career. But
just like the current iteration of the Blazers, that was probably just the lowest point.
Yeah, for a while there. Okay, so and then you have to look back at the whole season, the whole retrospective, right? The first part of the season, you have CJ McCollum go down pretty early with an injury. He carried them for a very long time. I think at that point, he just burned out. He was like, I'm tired, man. Like, I can't do this every single night. And then now he's kind of caught that second wind here. So, and also to end the season as well, he's just been spectacular. He's gotten them out of the playing game with no doubt. They're fully healthy now, and he's been leading the charge. I think he's going to be close towards the top of MVP voting, and I guess you could say the same thing about Chris Paul. I just think that what he's done for the team, because the Suns are good, right? Like, they have a good roster. Chris Paul taught them how to win, but at the same time, like, you want to go back to the bubble last season, they were like starting to really figure things out. And I think he's kind of the one that's brought them along for that. But I think Damian Lillard deserves at least second team to just be like, look, man, you put it all on the line this year. Again, awarding someone, I think that's the best thing that these awards can do is be like, you did this and we want to encourage that. So when other players see that you get second team all honors for that.
Yeah, people don't understand that like there's a whole business outside of it that like, there are money making opportunities for the league. Like even if it's not the championship, like all of those games are important to the league. And I feel like it's important to kind of keep that, that delicate balance between, keeping the players happy, keeping the fans happy, and, maintaining the integrity of the game. And I feel like, we should focus more on that. I feel like when we have these awards, and so that kind of stuff is important. I think it's important to keeping the league entertaining. If guys are motivated, because when you make it just about rings, man, like it's a lot easier to just like for guys to just throw everything else to the wind and go ring chase.
Yeah, that's on the onus of the NBA for sure to be like, hey guys, there's way more outside of just getting to the championship game, because
they try to do it with money, man.
Yeah, and it just hasn't worked, and it just simply has not worked.
But when it comes to Damian Lillard, it's like I like to look at the all NBA list as like the comprehensive, like this is what your body of work for the season says. And I think Chris Paul's is just better than Damian Lillard's. Damian Lillard, he's on my third team, so we'll get into that in a second. He's my third team guard, but I definitely think that what Chris Paul has done as it relates to the entire season is definitely more worthy of the second team than Damian Lillard.
Who are your other forwards?
In the second team?
Yeah.
Paul George and Luka.
Okay, we both had Paul George. I think the sentiment is that Kawhi deserves the like first spot over him.
He's just missed a lot of time.
Yeah, Paul George has been there for the team more, and he's like they were the second seed before they tanked to avoid playing the Lakers in the second round.
I mean, but still, they're still the third seed.
Exactly, and I just think that he's been that leader for the team this year when it's supposed to be Kawhi.
Become more of a vocal leader. It's like that's what that team needs, and if Paul George is going to step up, regardless, I don't really like Paul George as a guy. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that there are things about him that make me kind of doubt his attitude, but like. If you look at like how the team's kind of rallied around him and maintained some success despite COVID and missing Kawhi and stuff like that, yeah, definitely Paul George I think has earned that second team spot.
No doubt. Okay, we'll go to our third team now. There's going to be a lot of similarities between our second and third team, but my third team is Chris Paul, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and Rudy Gobert.
Wow, that's crazy. No Brad Beal, huh? That's crazy. That's tough. It's tough.
It's tough.
Mine's Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, Kawhi, LeBron, and Rudy Gobert.
So we're really close. So really, I guess you could say, why do you think Bradley Beal? And I'll tell you why.
I mean, he's just hooping, man. Like it's just like when it really comes down to it, like the Wizards, how much you want to put the Wizards season on them just like not having it all put together and COVID. I think that's a debate for another day. But there's been one constant between those two states of the Wizards is that Bradley Beal was eating the entire time, and so it was really kind of just about like the Wizards being able to be like understanding what they're watching. Like Bradley Beal, you score 30 points a game in the NBA. That's automatically like a historic thing to me. It's like that's almost that's an insanely hard thing to do, and so that's been the one constant the entire season. He's been getting buckets regardless of what the team around him is doing. He's been getting buckets. And so eventually like you get Russ healthy and you get everybody kind of like, in the correct spot that they're supposed to be in. You see what's happening now. And so, circumstance I think has gotten in the way of a lot of the, Wizards season this year, because I think they could have been, if they had just been able to restart and just have all their ducks in a row, they probably would have been a lot better off. But I think Bradley Beal has definitely earned all it. Like if Bradley Beal scores 30 points a game and we don't give him all NBA, it's like, what are we really doing?
I get it, and I guess really the biggest difference is I'm not willing to make Luka Doncic a forward because I really do feel like he's either a one or two. His size makes him a forward, but okay, so I got to compare the two of them. I think you got to. At the same time, when you look at what the Wizards have been able to do to get to the 8th seed, I put a lot of that responsibility at Westbrook, because I think
Westbrook for sure.
I think he turned the page for the franchise.
They weren't winning those
Bradley
games.
Bradley Beal's always been really good for them. I think the reason they started to really win is because Westbrook decided, hey, I get that I'm getting these.
Someone has to be like a leader,
Yeah, he's like, let me take the ball and then let me figure this out for the team, and that's what's kind of done it for them. It's hard. It's close, right? It's crazy to think that you have to leave people off when you have 3 teams. It seems like there's like so many spots you wouldn't have anything, but it is difficult in the end. It's just for me, he's been there for so long, and it's never amounted to anything until unless he's had that other kind of guy to do it for him. I don't know. But that's how it shapes up. We'll move on here.
That's our all NBA teams.
That was all NBA.
So I think that was a pretty solid list for sure.
Too. I think the biggest kind of takeaway for me is that Julius
Randle
deserves first team all NBA honors.
There's definitely a legitimate argument to be made. If people want to put someone else in that forward spot, I'm willing to hear that argument.
What does he miss, like 2 games this season?
He's been an Iron Man.
Yeah.
Under Tibbs of all people too.
That's so important to me. Mm-hmm. So we'll go to MVP, and I think we'll both agree it's maybe not. You said you had something spicy here.
Yeah, my MVP is Stephen Curry.
The thing, okay, he's had a special season, and then he's driven them at the end to get them into the 8th seed, which is really cool.
It's not a logical argument. I'm just going to say my MVP is Stephen Curry.
Let me explain it to you this way, okay? 10 of the last 12 MVPs have come from the 1st seed.
Yeah.
And then there's two spots, right? 10, I said 10 and 12. So one of them was the 2nd seed, and the other one was, I believe, the 6th seed, and that was Westbrook's triple-double season. He just snuck into the playoffs, and they might not make it, dude. Like that.
They snuck into the plan, yeah.
They stuck into the plan. That's really hard because we don't know yet, and you're supposed to base this off of the regular season. If they don't make the playoffs and he wins MVP, that's just I don't think that's right.
That's gonna be tough, but I definitely think. I mean that's a strong argument, but I think when you look at the entire body of work too, like it wouldn't be the first time the MVP had kind of been out in an embarrassing way, before the playoffs or before the postseason.
Giannis takes that on.
Exactly. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just when you look at the entire body of work, like I said, this is where I kind of my mindset when I choose these awards is, I look at the entire, like, how did the season go for this guy? And you look at like where the Warriors were at the beginning of the season. That was rough. That was it was very, very rough. And I think once Curry got healthy and you got to this point where like this is what we have. Well, it's like we either got to make it work or the Warriors are done. It's like the Warriors as we knew them, the first modern day like true dynasty. You know what I mean? Like the Heat weren't like a full on dynasty. The Warriors were a dynasty, and it was like either you punt on that for the rest and you retire that to history, or you let Steph Curry cook. And they let Steph Curry cook, and he like was the lifeblood of their season this year. And so that's why I'm putting him in MVP. I get that it's probably going to be Jokic, but I respect the hell out of what Steph Curry has done this year.
This is the thing about Jokic that I think guaranteed him the spot, where you're in the middle of the season and Jamal Murray goes down, and you think Jokic is leading for the MVP at that point, and now this is kind of is what decides it. Who's going to win MVP? Is he going to be able to play as well as he had without his other star player? Not only did he play as well, he played
they probably gotten a little better. Yeah.
His stats have gone up. He is just killing it right now. I mean, the points, the rebounds, assists, being able to just physically being able to stay where they are in the standings in the West without what many people consider to be like 1A and 1B for them. And Jamal Murray was having a career year as well. He started off really bad, and then he started picking up, and now he tore his ACL. Jokic, I think, is 600 to 1 right now, which means you have to lay $600 to win 100 back. In most sports books, you actually can't bet it anymore because it seems so guaranteed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just it's pretty almost. It's probably going to be close to unanimous for Jokic, but
I think LeBron James probably ruined it. It might have actually been unanimous, and LeBron comes out and says that Steph's the MVP.
He might have gotten a call. He might have gotten a vote or two.
The world are probably going to vote for Steph
now. Yeah, he might have gotten Steph a vote or two just by saying that.
Lane James, man, tries to ruin the
ankle.
I love the discourse around LeBron James in comments.
All right, so that's MVP. What do you want to do next?
Let's go to Defensive Player of the Year. I have it, Rudy Gobert.
Can you really like? That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the argument for anyone other than Rudy Gobert?
As we've gone through all of these, like you have to reward the best overall team of the year, and it's got to be either MVP or it's going to be.
They have to get recognized. That has to be. You have to recognize that team in some way, and most definitely. Like I said, like it's not that I'm like jumping for joy for Rudy Gobert to win his third straight DPOY, but like, what's the argument for anybody else?
It's him and Ben Simmons.
It's
Ben
like-
Simmons has been incredible this season.
or like Nerlens Noel, dude. And it's like, are you gonna give it to Nerlens Noel over Rudy Gobert?
It's just
I don't
not
think
going to
so.
happen.
I don't think so.
Because they're not. I mean, I have Rudy Gobert on my third All NBA team, but still, I think that's pretty low when you consider what they've been able to do. Where a lot of it.
That's what I'm saying. You can't have
Donovan
your-
Mitchell too.
You can have your DPOY like not on an All NBA team.
Yeah, that'd be pretty strange. I don't know if Marcus Saul made an All NBA team.
He probably actually didn't. That's probably why. I think that's
He
why
may
there's been a
have,
course correction here.
I'm not sure. Yeah, interesting. But that
But yeah,
wasn't too
it's
bad.
Rudy Gobert, man. Like who else is it going to be?
Right. So most improved, we already went over, but I'll
Julius
just tell you,
Randle.
my top three is Julius Randle, Jeremy Grant, and then Michael Porter Jr., who actually also took a really
Yeah.
big step forward after Jamal Murray
Definitely.
had gone down.
Definitely. Kevin Knox, number 9.
Sixth man of the year. It's actually
This is
crazy.
interesting.
You can still vote on. You can still put
This
your
is
money on this
interesting.
one, but it is like a massive lead.
It's a massive.
I'm considering
really?
like putting my bank account on this because let me just.
I did not. I want to tell you before I reveal my pick. I did not put a lot of thought into this.
I see. To me, it's not. It's nothing. Like it's been decided a long time ago,
Interesting.
and it's like 6,000 to 1.
I have
odds.
literally no idea who you're talking about. Right
Really?
now. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like who you would be talking about. I'm drawing a blank.
Let me ask you this, okay? Because I don't know why it's still up in some books. If I told you I can give you $6,000 and I'll give you back $6,100, but you got to wait about 3 weeks, would you do it?
Just for $100.
Yeah,
If I had to give you $600,
but there's no catch.
I had to give you
I
$6 grand, but in a couple weeks you'll give me $6,100.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it.
It's free money.
I don't.
They just give it to you back with $100 more. I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
I just don't want to not have my $6,000.
What do you need it for so urgently? What are you doing?
You never know, man.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, it's Jordan Clarkson. He clearly has the award.
What is he averaging?
Early wrapped up.
What's he averaging?
Let's pull up his stats real quick. Jordan Clarkson.
Because I have not Jordan Clarkson as my
Who
sixth
is your
man.
6th man of the year?
Hold on, I want to hear what Jordan Clarkson's putting up.
Okay,
first.
I'll tell you real quick. He's putting up 18.4 points per game. Let's see, almost a steal, 2.5 assists, and 4 rebounds.
What's he shooting?
He's shooting 43% from the field and 35% from
That's
3-point
fine.
range.
Yeah, I would give it to Jordan Clarkson then. I had Derrick Rose.
I'll tell you,
Which is I think Derrick Rose has a legitimately strong case for 6th man, but yeah, he's not playing that his numbers aren't as good as that.
for sure. And I'll tell you, I have Derrick Rose second, and I think for like the betting purposes, I think Joe Ingles is second on this list because the thing about Derrick Rose is
It doesn't really matter if you come off the bench, you can technically be the 6th man.
Yeah, I do believe that Derrick Rose has been the second best player coming off the bench this season. He just did it late, right? He was
Got traded, yeah.
kind of just
He
floating
spent
around
like the first,
in Detroit.
he spent the first quarter of the season in Detroit, and he was kind of like,
Okay,
I don't
wasn't
want to. He's like, he was kind of just like, I don't want to play for the Detroit Pistons anymore. So he was kind of just like, hey, I'm hurt, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
So, but once he went to the Knicks, I mean, he's been integral to the team. You could even argue he's been better than Jordan Clarkson, like since he's been to the Knicks.
since he went to the Knicks, yeah. But
It's just
Clarkson
too much
has just been
catch up, man.
Clarkson has just been doing it all year, and he's
And,
been.
and
he's
again,
been
you
very
have
good.
to award, I think, the first overall seed,
and
these kind of
especially
awards, too.
and especially because Mitchell has missed time too.
a lot, and he's stepped up immediately in that spot
Yeah,
and just kind of
so-
taken over.
Yeah,
So that's-
definitely Clark. And he deserves it too. Like that, he's had a really good season.
I also learned that you don't like free money, but that's interesting.
I just don't. It doesn't feel. I have to I have to entrust $6,000 to another
It's
person.
guaranteed, dude. There is no
just
debate.
for $100.
no
man?
debating.
I don't know, man. I'm not in on that.
Next award we'll do is Rookie of the Year, and this is
This is actually
technically
a pretty.
an
This is
interesting
probably the most interesting single player debate.
debate. Right. Okay, so it's down to 2 players. Tyrese for a while, I think he got hurt at the end of the season, so he kind of dropped off late. Especially after LaMelo Ball, I think Tyrese was immediately levitated, which makes this argument, I think, kind of not even make sense because once LaMelo goes down, everybody said, all right, Tyrese Halliburton is going to take this award. And now suddenly we're debating that Anthony Edwards might be the Rookie of the Year, which I think he's second now given his body of work after the All-Star game. But
I get it.
I understand. Okay. And I understand that Anthony Edwards has played more games and he's like basically hasn't missed any time at all for the Timberwolves team. But here's the thing, and we've talked about this, getting ready for the show. Anthony Edwards was bro.
Not very
He
good.
was so bad at the beginning of the season, shooting like 30% or something
good.
like that. And then you have LaMelo, who has been just great. The second he got promoted to the starting lineup after Devontae Graham went down for an injury, he started averaging 20 points per game. Like all he needed was more opportunity.
And it's not even like he was playing poorly before that either. It's like he was just in the minimized role. They didn't want to give him the keys too early. You know, like he was coming off the bench, and they were really managing and tempering his role. Like before, they wanted to get a good sense.
So young,
yeah, they wanted to get a good sense of the kind of player he was before they gave him the full responsibility, which I think is a really smart and responsible thing to do if you're trying to develop a franchise player. And it's paid dividends because a lot of his weaknesses, they were able to mask a lot of his weaknesses. Like he's a pretty good shooter. A lot of the knocks on him in the draft process was that his shooting numbers were really poo. And when I look at it, it's that the games that LaMelo has played in versus the games that Ant has played in is like, yes, Edwards has played more games, but how many of those games was he playing well? I feel like that's a big part of the debate that a lot of people are ignoring is that, yeah, Anthony Edwards has been healthy and he's been available, but he hasn't always been productive. Like, you know, he had that one night where he boomed on Yuta Watanabe.
My man.
But he had 7 points that game. That was the big meme, is that he like played horribly that game.
Yeah.
And so like you just have less of those moments with LaMelo where you see them on the court and they're struggling. And so that's why I think, especially now that LaMelo has come back, like when he went down and it was really uncertain. Yeah, it was really uncertain whether he'd play again, or they were even saying that he's not going to play again. And he can't, you know, everyone was kind of resigning his rookie of the year campaign. But since he came back and since he has been legitimately helpful and, you know, and could still end up in the playoffs, definitely LaMelo for me, for sure. It's not really that big. Anthony Edwards, definitely first team all rookie for sure. But LaMelo's rookie of the year.
There's a lot of games that he would probably love to take back. And let me tell you some of the stat lines. Let's remind everybody what he was doing. So here's a stretch of like 10 games. 0 points on 0 of 8 shooting, 2 points on 1 of 6, 12 points on 5 of 16 shooting, 8 points of 3 of 14, 5 points of 2 of 12, and 18 on 5 of 14.
And it's not like we say these things to be like Anthony Edwards is trash.
Yeah.
Like he's
improved tremendously.
Like we're talking about him as one of the two men in a 2-man rookie of the year race. You know what I mean? So it's like he's definitely turned his season around. He's earned the respect of like, you know, it's like people want to take him first overall.
And he played as many games as LaMelo. If you could,
it'd be runaway for sure.
Yeah, he would
run away with it for sure.
Definitely, which is funny. So I have LaMelo Ball.
I got LaMelo too.
The last one we'll do is
Coach of the Year.
Really pretty interesting. Yeah, Coach of the Year. Okay, where do you take this? Do you take the coach?
I don't know.
So the best team with the best record.
I'm gonna be biased. You know, I know. Like it's the same thing with Steph. It's just like I know someone else may have a better case, but like, come on, bro. It's Tibbs. Tibbs is the Coach of the Year, man.
It's close because okay, the easy answer is Monty Williams.
Yes,
because they've gone from not making the playoffs to the second seed in the West. That's a huge jump. Depends.
They were in the play-in though, but like you said with Devin Booker, they were already on their way up in the bubble last year. You know,
and then you add Chris Paul, who you know is going to add some W's.
So they had some continuity too, because Monty Williams was the coach last year, so having continuity. Tibbs is walking into a brand new situation, a team that just made the lottery. Man, they were awful last year. Like literally, the only reason they were not in the Anthony Edwards LaMelo sweepstakes was because they were actually able to fire Fizdale somewhere like in the middle of the season last year. You have Tibbs walking into that, man. It was a huge dumpster fire last year. Turns them around into a top 3 defense, top 3 offense too. Like I'm not top 3 offense, but like an efficient offense. And now they have home court in the first round for the first time in almost 10 years, man.
And their roster just isn't that great.
And the roster is horrible, dude. No, like we're talking about like the Knicks on paper. Everyone said the Knicks on paper would be awful. And I was saying it too. They were capping us at 25 wins this year. And now we're heading into the playoffs. The Knicks have 6 players on the roster that shoot at least 39% from 3. And that's insane.
And I'll put it this way. If you can tell me that a team with home court advantage in the playoffs is going to have a starting lineup with Reggie Bullock and Nerlens Noel in it,
Elfrid Payton,
you would think I'm insane.
That team has home court through the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, so that I'll tell you, I have Tom Thibodeau also as my coach of the year. Monty Williams a close second.
I get it if you want to give it to Monty Williams, man. But like I said, they have that continuity working for them, and I think Tibbs walked into a harder situation and turned it around.
Yeah.
I think Monty Williams did a really, really good job building off the momentum, because it's as you know, it's still hard to go from the 8th seed, or like outside of the 8th seed, to the actual 2nd seed in the Western Conference. Like, that's really, really hard, but it's a lot easier when you have a first ballot Hall of Fame point guard on your team.
Yeah, and third I have Doc Rivers, and fourth I have Schneider for the Utah Jazz. I think what Doc Rivers has done is actually quite impressive, to go from a team that just had the exact same pieces. Like, there's no difference actually from the 76ers from last year.
Getting them actually looking like a contender.
Right, yeah. Many people we didn't talk about that last year. And they made one deep postseason run, and you have Kawhi Leonard had that crazy shot, and who knows what would happen after that if that didn't roll in the way that it did. But still, people are actually talking about them a lot more and more seriously now that Doc Rivers is there. So I think he does deserve some of that credit. It's crazy to think that the coach, with the best record, isn't going to be like on the top, but they were already good last year, and it's not like they've made this like amazing leap on top of all the injuries that have gone on this season. So
I think he's done. I think the best thing that Doc has done this year is making the pieces that were already there fit a little better,
play better, and also just kind of be a better leader for the team and bring in some. He saw the roster and is like, "Hey guys, we need to shoot from the outside."
You think you don't think that they respected like Brett Brown, right? You know
yeah,
what I mean?
for real.
Doc is certified. You know what I mean? People
Definitely.
like Doc commands respect around the league. It's the same thing with guys like I don't want to keep blowing Tibbs, but like the Knicks respect Tibbs. You know what I mean? Like, respect goes a long way in the league. I think the Hawks are playing better because Nate McMillan commands a decent amount of respect. You know what I mean?
You
like,
think the Kings respect Luke Walton?
No, absolutely not. I don't think anybody in the league respects Luke Walton. That's why it's insane to me that he still has a job.
Yeah, if the Grizzlies had held on to the 8th seed, I may have put him up on there too, because Taylor Jenkins is commanding the 3rd youngest team in the league, and he's has them.
Dude, for where they're at right now, like Taylor Jenkins, nobody pays a lot of attention to him.
And Desmond Bain, like these rookies that were late 1st round picks, are playing really well, legitimate minutes for maybe a playoff.
Nobody pays a lot of attention to him because they're in Memphis, and they don't have a Zion like in the same Ja's really exciting, but he's not selling tickets like Zion. You know what I mean? Zion is box office. And so when you really look at the Grizzlies without any of the market bias and stuff like that, they're definitely they're on track to just completely blindside the Western Conference, because I feel like nobody takes them seriously.
And now I want them to miss the playoffs because I want them to be closer towards.
It'd be a nice learning experience for them.
No, it would be good. Playoff experience is always great, but I think they just need a scoring forward. Well, that's a different question. That's a different discussion. I don't think anyone wants to hear my in-depth analysis of the Memphis Grizzlies. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Delivering Sports. Let us know what you guys think about
who's winning the title.
It's probably the Brooklyn Nets, as long as they get something. Yeah,
Nets in 5.
As long
Nets
as
in 6.
As long as they don't meet the Bucks in the playoffs, I think the Nets will be perfectly fine.
Interesting.
I really do think that they could beat them in that series. Maybe not favored, but man, like the Bucks just.
That'll be a fun series to watch. I really hope we do get to see it.
Points in that series.
I really hope we get to see it.
Yeah, Miami and the Bucks, we know are playing each other in the 1st round. That's a rematch for a lifetime right there. Mm-hmm. So if the Bucks get knocked out again in the 1st round, and they went through their struggles early because they tweaked the way that their team was run, basically.
PJ Tucker and all that.
Yeah. They were pretty bad in the beginning of the season, but that's because they're
you had to figure out the new pieces and stuff like that. They really,
and since then they've been very, very good team. So
that's going to be a fun series.
It's be really fun. I think they are scheduled to meet in the 2nd round, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look at the playoff bracket, but we will do that when we know when the play-in stuff is over. We'll do another episode and we'll go over all of those matchups, but. That's going to do it for today's episode of Delivering Sports. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. My name's @SpencerTheWiz. That's Kevin OMO_. And also follow us on Blue Boys Gaming on YouTube for all the other stuff that is not about sports. But you seen it, guys. Next